Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is a returning guest. His name is Justin Hart. He's the National Service Officer for Disabled American Veterans. DAV is the acronym. We'll once again meet him and learn all about the organization when we come back, so stay with us.
Hi, remember me? I'm one of more than 3 million disabled veterans living in the United States. My brothers and sisters gladly gave our all for our country, but we need help to get our lives back to normal again. That's why we depend on the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, to fight for benefits and rights that we earned. Don't forget America's disabled veterans, and remember the DAV.
Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Justin Hart. He was here, I'd say, about a year ago on the show. He's the National Service Officer for Disabled American Veterans, also known as DAV. First of all, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Is that the proper, can you say Dave? Is that the right, or did you say DAV?
DAV.
Okay. So for those that don't know, again, remind us, what is DAV? What is Disabled American Veterans? What's it all about?
Well, the DAV itself started off in the early 1920s by a returning veteran from World War I who was injured, severely disabled, and what he noticed during this time frame is that a lot of veterans coming back weren't able to receive benefits. Okay, there was nothing set up as far as programs go to assist. This person's name is Judge Marks, and pretty much what he did was he sat down, he had a meeting with a lot of other veterans, and they started off this organization called the Disabled American Veterans, or later came to be the Disabled American Veterans. Later down the road, stuff started happening as far as the VA opening up, veterans being able to receive compensation, and pretty much what this organization is designed is to assist veterans, to receive the benefits that they're entitled to through both state and federal governments.
Now, obviously, you were a former military person yourself. You told an interesting story. I just want to get celeb with you for a second. Are you able to tell that story?
Yeah.
Okay. You were out on, I guess, on a patrol, right?
Yeah, I was. Well, I served 2 tours to Iraq. On my first tour, back in 2003 time frame, we were invading Iraq, and we made it to the city of Karbala. During this time frame, I was the gunner on our truck. I was manning a 50 caliber machine gun, and we received orders from higher to go ahead and head into the city. So, me being the gunner, I was up there, I was, scanning the area, doing what I was supposed to be doing, and the next thing I know, I was laying on the concrete. What ended up happening is my driver, who is J.R. Martinez.
Right. He's a, I do a radio show, a morning radio show too, so we do a celebrity segment. For those that aren't familiar with that name, he was on Dancing with the Stars, right?
Yeah, he was on Dancing with the Stars last season, I believe.
Right.
And he actually won first place. But anyways, what ended up happening was we were traveling down this one road, concrete, and we didn't notice that. We didn't see anything on the road, so we didn't think anything of it. And next thing we knew, we hit what we believe was an anti-tank mine during that time frame. It shot me like 15 feet in the air. J.R. Martinez got stuck behind the driver's wheel, and he was severely burned. We were both medevaced out together. He got sent out because he was priority group, and he was sent right back to the United States at the Texas Burn Center. Me, I just got medevaced out, went to Walter Reed, went back to Fort Campbell. I got better, and then as soon as I I went right back over to Iraq to, assist in the mission and our goals. Furthermore, to make sure everyone in my platoon made it home alive.
That's excellent. So J.R. Martinez, how does a person who's injured and burned end up going on a dancing competition show and winning it? By the way, he just had the skills.
Yeah, no, I guess he did.
And how come you didn't go on that show?
No, I'll pass on that one. Jr., he's gifted.
Yeah.
He's able to take a situation that most of us would look down upon, cause us to go on these major depressive episodes. Give us a reason for virtually not wanting to do anything.
Right.
and he was able to turn it around.
By the way, has JR been able to use his celebrity status to also advocate maybe for DAV or the military in general, or that
Yeah,
life?
absolutely.
Yeah.
He does. He does on a regular basis, actually.
Excellent.
His schedule's pretty busy.
All right, so now let's talk about you. You were in the military, and so you got out. And how did the opportunity to get involved with this organization present itself to you, and how was it that you decided that you were interested in being a part of it?
Well, after being discharged honorably from the military, United States Army, what ended up happening was I tried to find jobs. I tried to find some type of career to go into, but being in infantry, you're kind of limited on your potential.
And when did you get out, by the way?
I got out in 2006, December of 2006.
All right, so that was before, the economy really, before it took its downturn.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyways, I got out of the military. I ended up going on unemployment, and I ended up searching around for, various jobs that I felt I could do. Some security. I even applied for the Secret Service. I applied for the Nashville Police Department. And, it seemed to me at the time that nothing was really working out. Later, I got in touch with my local DAV rep, who was also just so happened to be the supervisor of the Nashville office. And he asked me to come in for a job interview.
Wow.
Yeah. And
now, you were going to him specifically for DAV services.
DAV services.
For yourself.
Yep.
Right.
I called him just to explain, my contentions, what was going on, how I was having, difficulties finding employment. And he, all of a sudden, I wasn't even expecting. He just asked me to come in for a job interview the next day. So I went in, he sat down with me, and we discussed the organization and where I think I could stand in. And next thing I know, I'm being flown to D.C. for an interview, and I got hired.
Wow, what a fantastic story that is.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you started out, you weren't doing the same thing that you're doing now within the organization. Now you've worked your way up to From there, you got to New England. You actually started in Rhode Island and then moved over to Connecticut in a different capacity, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. After getting hired, I pretty much had to move to Rhode Island, to get started out. I underwent a 16-month on-the-job training program, in which I had to take, several college courses and, become familiar with the regulations, court decisions, how to write properly, legally anyways. Right. And then after that, I was rehabbed, and, I stayed there for another year and a half, 2 years, and, something opened up, and I applied for it, and I was lucky, I was still early in the process, early in the game, and they felt that I had enough confidence to be able to succeed. So later they promoted me to supervisor, where now I'm currently out of the Newington regional office. I run my own office, and that's what we do. We just help veterans to the best of our ability.
It's funny when you were talking about when you initially got out of the military and you were looking for jobs that you thought would be appropriate for you. You were in combat and some of the things you did. The thought probably never entered the job that you have now. You might not have even felt in your mind that you would have been qualified for this type of job and never would have kind of applied for it in the first place, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right on. Actually, I served 6.5 years in the military, all of which was straight up infantry. There was no, writing essays or biographies or arguments or presenting any type of legal action or whatever the case is.
You're just doing frontline.
Yeah, that's
fighting,
it. It's just me and the enemy. But I got hired on. I was asked to do it, and I figured why not? I figured something that I'd be inspired to do on a daily basis. Because it's not just about me anymore. It's actually about, my fellow comrades that served our country proudly, overseas.
The gentleman who gave you a chance, though, he saw, he wanted to give another veteran an opportunity. Didn't want to see a guy be unemployed, and an opening was there, and he gave you a shot.
He did. I'm very grateful for it.
It turned out, and now you end up coming on TV and everything. And
unexpected.
Another one of those things that just, wow, I didn't expect to. You're fighting one day, and next day you're on TV. Not the next day, but a little ways down the road. So let's get into it a little bit as far as the DAV goes. What is it? How can the DAV help someone who's watching today, a veteran, and also families of veterans too? Are they able to take advantage of some of the services?
Oh, yeah. There's several programs that the DAV has. One of them being the National Service Officer Program. That's designed to where we have, National Service Officers or attorneys in facts, throughout all 50 states in our country that are there legitimately just to help out veterans in receiving benefits through the VA. Okay, this ranges from compensation, health care benefits, vocational rehabilitation, for those veterans who are having difficulty finding employment, and etc. In addition to that, we also have a mobile service office program. Matter of fact, for the past 2 weeks, that's pretty much what I was doing. We did 8 stops throughout the state of Connecticut, actually.
Makes it even easier for them. You'll almost come to their community or closer to it.
That's exactly what it's designed for, you know. It's, to help out those veterans who are homeless or, who just aren't able to come into our office because of their medical condition. It's pretty much our way of putting an office on wheels and coming out to their local area and trying our best to try to help them out with their situations. And just to give you an example, one of my stops I did, just last week actually, we were running a stop and someone saw our van, another veteran and his spouse, and they didn't recognize us or anything like that. But
did they even know what the DAV was?
He knew what the DAV was,
okay.
But he didn't know, what exactly we were out there for, doing. And he came out there with him and his spouse, and it turns out that, he signed in. I brought him into the office or the service office, and, I sat down and I spoke with him, and it turns out he had lung cancer. This veteran served in Vietnam. That's a presumptive illness, and, he was undergoing, some sort of chemo or radiation therapy for it. And that's like a Schedule 100%, and he didn't even know about it until he stopped there, In addition to that, I pursued by asking him additional questions, It turns out he had coronary artery disease. That's also a presumptive illness, just for having the diagnosis, And because of that, instead of him only receiving roughly $376 a month, he's now going to be entitled to, over the course of the next couple months, of receiving, close to $3,200 a month, while he's undergoing these treatments.
And it was just by chance that he happened to see the van out in his community, which he never would have seen if it was just everybody going to the office as opposed to
just one spot.
You coming out to everywhere else. And I would imagine that you let the communities know ahead of time that we're going to be making the rounds and stuff, and whatever's closest to you, take advantage of it when the van comes to your area. Right?
Yeah, no, I get in touch with local communities. Like we have department and chapters located, throughout the state of Connecticut, and I get in touch with them and centralize a good spot to make a stop. Furthermore, we notify the newspapers, pretty much anyone we can to make it as public as possible. In addition to that, the DAV sends out, mailings, identifying to pretty much all of our members or anyone that we've pretty much ever seen, to let them know, hey, we're stopping in your area, just feel free to come on in and see us, let's see what we could do,
Are these vans, is there one in Rhode Island that kind of makes the rounds as well?
Yeah, there's like usually one per area.
Okay.
Like the one we have governs Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts.
Sort of northeast-ish.
Northeastern area,
right.
Yep.
Let's take a break. We got a lot more to get to. Is there a website or phone number for people to go and learn more, especially veterans that want to get more information, or maybe family members?
Yeah, you go to www.dav.org, and it'll pretty much bring up a whole bunch of information on that. You just have to venture around the page. In addition to that, you could also call my office. It's 860-594-6612, or you could call the Rhode Island office, and that's 401-223-3695.
Justin Hart, National Service Officer for DAV, Disabled American Veterans. A lot more to get to, so we will when we come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today, Justin Hart, been a guest on the show before. National Service Officer for Disabled American Veterans, the DAV. Was this your title the last time you were on the show, or is this a new title for you, the National Service Officer?
No, same title.
Okay, it's just that you're a supervisor now, right?
Well, I was a supervisor last year, too. Just new.
So before we went to break, we were talking about some of the programs that are available, and but there are more, so I just kind of want to keep going with that.
Okay. Well, we also have our transportation network, in which we have volunteer drivers, all across our country that assist veterans in receiving transportation from and to the VA hospital for their medical appointments. To give you an idea, roughly we've had, across the board since, I believe, 2008, these drivers have donated roughly about 2 million hours of their own time, and trying to assist in veterans in transportation, which resulted in about 22 million miles being driven during those time frames. So it's a wonderful program. And if you don't have transportation, you could also get in touch with the local National Service officers, and we could direct you to give you the contact information and you get in touch with the local hospital service coordinators within the state.
Considering what gas prices are these days, not having transportation might actually be saving somebody some money.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's not cheap for sure. Any other programs that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, we have a Women Veterans Initiative, and pretty much what that's designed to do is, because there's a lot of women veterans that are now being discharged.
Right.
Now, like, everything has to be, pretty much changed to pretty much help them adapt to the situation. All right, it makes, changes in like either legislation or whatever the case is. Well, we have a committee actually, designed, by women, in fact, in which they actually sit on this board and they converse with, government officials and try to get things changed as far as, helping veterans either in health care, compensation, or whatever the case is. That's another really good program.
Yeah, and I think the last time you were on, I think we talked about that, the changing, makeup of the military these days. More and more women. Mm-hmm. Are they getting involved in the front lines now and everything too? Or
yeah, more now than ever.
Yeah, and so you're discovering that there's a few more phone calls coming into you these days from women who mm-hmm. have served too, and it's something new, or it's newish. But it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the DAV is, steadfast on working on those issues.
When you're getting calls, I don't know if it's any different from last year, but what are the prominent things that people are calling and expressing concern about or in need of when they call you?
Well, that would be compensation
mm-hmm.
and pension. How much money they receive for their disabilities. How it's designed is pretty much someone rated at 0% is non-compensable, but they could receive free health care off of it for that disability if they're in need. And it starts off at 10%, which is equivalent to $127 a month, and it goes all the way to 100%, which is close to about $2,800, $2,900 a month, depending. And a lot of the time when I receive the calls, that's usually exactly what they want to talk about, seeing as that's what we deal with primarily. In addition to that, it also has to do with maybe health care benefits. Maybe they're wanting to receive treatment at their local VA medical center, and they're unsure on, how to be able to do it. Or maybe it's a veteran that just got out and he was rated, at least 20% disabling or more for a service-connected disability, and he's having difficulty getting employment. We could help him and assist him in obtaining benefits to where maybe the VA will actually send him to college, so that way he could actually get a job or career field that works around his disabilities.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. It's funny you should mention that, because I was going to ask you, a year ago or so when you were on the show, really not much has changed economy-wise. Mm-hmm. So, if people are looking for work, that certainly has to make your job more difficult because of the economic times that we're in. Mm-hmm. And not much really, to be honest with you, has changed from last year as far as, where we are and, companies' willingness to hire.
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah, you're right on that. The economy, everything that's going on, and then in addition to that, if a veteran has, say he had a fusion on his back, he's rated 40%, and he's having difficulty finding employment. There's different, routes to take, all depending on, what the veteran's issue is. I always tell veterans, when I see them in my office, that no claim is exactly alike. No,
right.
No veteran is the same as another one who's trying to, obtain the same benefits. It's all depending, on that person. And it's always good to have a representative in your corner who knows what they're talking about the issue, so that way you're getting the right facts. What course to pursue. And
if they really have any questions, or if they just don't know where to turn or what to do, is the DIV a good place for them to make their first phone call to?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you could just steer them at very least in the direction that they should go.
Yeah, I always tell veterans that, if you call my office, all right, and I don't know the answer to your question, I will do everything within my power to find that answer.
Yeah.
Or I'll shoot you in the direction of someone who will,
Right.
But chances are I will find the answer, if I can. So that way, because it helps me learn, so.
As we tape this show, the president was just over in Afghanistan, and they're talking about winding down the war there. So, sooner or later, a particular war has to end. It's going to be a while. You'll still have a lot of veterans, disabled and otherwise, contacting your office. But does your job change depending on, what's going on in the world at a particular time?
It doesn't necessarily change because we have one goal in mind, and that's to assist veterans. But like for an instance, if like say they started bringing home troops back from Afghanistan, what will end up happening is more service members would get out of the military, which would in turn, have more work for us, of course, But one of the things that's so good about it, about the DAV anyways, is the fact that we try to do everything within our power to assist those veterans that are getting out. For instance, we have a transition service officer program, okay, which throughout military installations, throughout, the country, all depending, like you could actually, as they're being briefed to be separated from the military for someone who's retiring or just being discharged, you could actually speak with the transition service officer about any benefits that you may be entitled to. They'll actually review your file right there with you and tell you what you may be entitled to.
That's a great service because you don't want to. You want that smooth transition. You want some kind of a buffer zone. You don't want to just go from being in the military, bam, you're a civilian, you're on your own.
Yeah,
that's not the case.
And that's exactly what it's designed for. It's just to help you, like converge over to civilian life,
right.
As much as we possibly can,
A little bit easier.
Yeah.
Depending on the time of year, is your job different?
Well, during winter months, it tends to slow down a little bit,
right.
But during spring and summer, it's pretty busy.
Are you on the road a lot, or are you in your office more? Because you just said that you had just completed, you went around, you did the mobile thing for a little bit, just to kind of probably to experience, some of the people that are out and about in the communities.
Well, I am in my office, and if I'm not in my office, I am helping out the veterans. What ends up happening is, for instance, like if a situation like that were to arise, we'll actually have a national service officer from another state do itinerary coverage to our local office, so we could facilitate and keep helping veterans, So there are ways to venture into that.
How is the DIV funded? Is it just a federal funding situation, or?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, the DAV, as far as being funded, actually one of the things that veterans seem to think sometimes is that the DAV is funded by the VA, and realistically, that's not at all true. We're funded by our membership,
okay.
By donations,
right.
so on and so forth, and literally, all the money that comes into that comes right back out to it as far as assisting veterans.
Right, and in the local too, for.
Yep, local too.
Right.
That's right.
So in that case, then there's always you wouldn't mind accepting donations from individuals or even companies if they so desired to want to help out.
Yeah, absolutely. They could donate money to what we call our National Service Foundation, which is designed for like NSOs, DSOs. We have and various others sorts of programs in which they could donate their money to where they could say, no, I just wanted to go into this, to help this.
Okay, so then you can request a little bit more where specifically the money goes to help.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. So not only donations, but what about if somebody's interested in volunteering in some way, are they able to do that as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Actually, we have, for every state, we have a department, okay? And then for pretty much the surrounding cities within that state, we have chapters, okay? When you become a member of the DAV, all right, which all you have to do is be a veteran or someone who served in the military honorably, so on and so forth,
right.
All right, service. But anyways, you go into your chapter, okay, and pretty much they have, things that go on within that chapter. It could be anywhere from, helping homeless veterans, for our state or our department, once every year. We call it Christmas in February, where we go to the Rocky Hill Veterans Home here in Connecticut, and we just go out there and we just donate clothing or take claims or do anything we can to help veterans, who are in some type of financial need,
right.
In addition to that, within the chapters, you could also, go and speak to local senators, congressmen about, things that you want to get changed and things that you think are important,
Yeah. And those are the people to talk to, and maybe the DIV can kind of help facilitate your ability to be able to get in touch with your congressman or senator or whoever.
Yeah, it would be a great place to start, actually.
All right. We are just about out of time, so I want to give you the opportunity one more time to give websites and phone numbers to anybody watching who would like to get in touch with you, whether it be in Rhode Island or Connecticut. What do they do?
Well, like I said, you can contact one of the two National Service Officers located in your area, or offices located in your area. One we have in Providence, Rhode Island. The phone number is 401-223-3695. In addition to that, you could also contact my office, My phone number is 860-594-6612. And if you just want to, just venture around, look up information, you could also get on our webpage at www.dav.org, and you can just venture on that and try to look up, certain programs that we may have. In addition to that, you could also get on there, and we have this thing called NSO locators. You just get on there, type in your contact information, the question that you have, and you'll receive a call, or a response of an email, formatted so that way we could, try our best to answer your questions.
Excellent. So there's a lot of ways, and no reason why, if anybody does have a question or interested in being involved in some way, that they can't get a hold of you or somebody in the DAV. Justin Hart, thanks for being on the show today again.
Thank you for having me.
Hope you'll come back again, too.
Oh, yes, sir.
Justin Hart, National Service Officer for Disabled American Veterans. That's the DAV. That's our show for today. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. We will see you next time. Take care.